Hi everybody, good afternoon, good afternoon. Welcome back to a brand new video and welcome back to haunted stuff and haunted travels and spooky places and haunted places. Welcome back to my channel. So today's story is gonna be different. It's gonna be different. Today I'll be telling a stories about haunted rails, haunted rails. This book is written by Matthew L. Swain, and I'll be reading out the book of haunted rails. And then after that, I'll be showing you guys a example from the previous TV show of haunted travels this time. Anyway, this story that I'll be reading, this story that I'll be reading is called Eerie Echoes: The Return of the Red Arrow, and it takes place in Altoona, Pennsylvania, Altoona, Pennsylvania, and it's called Eerie Echoes: The Return of the Red Arrow, and it takes place in 1947 on February the 8th, 1947. Eerie Echoes: The Return of the Red Arrow. Here we go. People started screaming, and I braced myself against the window seal. Is how one survivor of a 17-year-old sailor at the time described the sheer terror of the crash of the Red Arrow, a train barreling around the Bennington curve located between Gallatin, Gallaxdon's, Altoona, Pennsylvania. In the wee hours of the morning on February 18th, 1947, it is a scenic route. The Bennington Curve is near the highest point on the Pennsylvania Railroad in the Keystone State. According to author Dennis P. McClellan, in Harrisburg, the railroad is only 310 feet above sea level, but by Altoona, the road rises to 100,174 feet above tide. In the next 12 miles, the railroad climbs almost 100 feet per mile to nearly 2,200 feet above sea level. At Bennington Curve. McClay writes, the wreck of the Red Arrow running behind schedule and trying to make up time. The train crew attempted to increase the speed of the train as it bended around the curve. Too fast, it turned out the train jumped the track and several cars plummeted down the embankment, killing 24 and injured more than 100. The death and injuries deeply affected the community, but Altoona was no stranger to train wrecks. To this day, no one could have predicted just how deeply this derailment would cut into the very fiber of time and space of the accident site. The Bennington area soon became a hot spot of haunted happenings, and many who witnessed the frightening activity at the site blamed that accident on a cold winter night back in 1947 for unleashing the paranormal outbreak. These witnesses now report the Bennington, which at the time of the crash was basically an abandoned workers community that faded with when the jobs left. It is now a ghost town in more ways than one, and the population is reportedly booming. According to the Big Book of Pennsylvania Ghost Stories by Pennsylvania paranormal research legend Patty Wilson and Mark Nesbitt, the crash is generated some of the area's spookiest ghost stories. The duo wrote that eerie echoes of the crash still linger. Witnesses in the Bennington area say that often, usually the anniversary of the crash, they are stunned to hear the sounds of screeching metal. Of screeching metal and tremendous thud of thousands of pounds of passenger train cars leaving the tracks and twisting down the embankment. Then the eerie part of the eeriest part of all, total scentless seconds after the defiant sound of a train crash. Witnesses say the mountain and the valley become completely quiet, like a spontaneous moment of prayer or silent meditation, as been called. Obviously, when they go to investigate, there's no train wreck and moments later the area returns to normal. Before you begin to brush off this as typical ghost lore, albeit super sad and creepy, Wilson blogs that some of these tales come from credible sources. She writes that 2 years after the wreck, a lineman, someone very familiar with the sounds of trains, heard the sounds of a crash. Metallic crunches and earth-shaking thumps. He also heard screams of pain and fear. He ran to find the source of the sounds, but the area was completely deserted. Then the silence followed, and he returned to work. He was only later, once he had a chance to reflect on the incident, that he realized the day he had spent working near the Bennington Curve was the 2-year anniversary of the crash. So, okay. The site has been supernaturally quiet lately, according to most accounts, but every once in a while, a new tale will crop up, often a slice of ghost lore that pass from person to person, but some are also first-hand accounts written on a website. Here's one from the website Ghosts of America. We were driving down the road past the Red Arrow train track in the middle of the night. And at about 100 feet away, we saw a floating train and sheds covering the windows. And behind those sheds, we saw figures, people in a floating train. Bizarre. I never believe in the supernatural. We believe that this is the train from the Red Arrow train wreck coming back. Perhaps the Red Arrow hasn't quite reached its final stop. So, okay. So what's the, Okay, I can tell you what happens in this story. So it's about the Red Arrow. It's about the Red Arrow. It's about the Red Arrow train wreck. The train in the wee hours of the morning on February 18th, 1947, the Red Arrow, the Red Arrow train, the Red Arrow train was going about how many miles per hour was it go? It was going 100 feet per mile to nearly 2,200 feet above sea level. No. Okay. Running behind schedule and trying to make up time, the train crew attempted to increase the speed of the train as it bended around the curve. Too fast, it turned out. The train jumped the track and several cars plummeted down the embankment, killing 24 and injuring more than 100. The death and injuries deeply affected the community, but Altoona was no stranger to train wrecks. To this day, no one could have predicted just how deeply this derailment would cut into the very fiber of time and space of the accident site. The Bennington area soon became a hot spot of haunted happenings. So after the train wreck, it started to haunt the place. And it became a haunted spot for haunted happenings. And many who witnessed it, and many who witnessed the frightening activity at the site blamed that accident on a cold winter night back in 1947 for unleashing the paranormal outbreak. And stuff like that. I mean, you get what happened in the story. You get it. But when this gets on the Travel Channel, be sure you let the story go back in time. Be sure you let the story go back in time to 1947, back in the 1940s. And be sure you put the return of the Red Arrow train and the eerie echoes of it, and and also, I think, It is how one survivor, a 17-year-old sailor at the time, subscribed to the sheer terror of the crash of the Red Arrow. So he was on the train before. He was on the train, I think, before when the Red Arrow had crashed. And he survived. He survived. He survived. He survived, and he was 17. He was 17. So when you put this on the Travel Channel, please be sure that you include the return of the Red Arrow, please be sure you include the return of the Red Arrow and the eerie echoes of the train, and the apparition and the ghost of the train too. And you know, the ghost train was appearing. And then after that it says here, like back in the 70s, or back back in the 80s or the 90s, it says we were driving down the road past the Red Arrow train track in the middle of the night, and about 100 feet away we saw a floating train and sheds covering the windows, and behind those sheds we saw figures, people in a floating train. Bizarre. I never believed in the supernatural. We believe this is the train from the Red Arrow train wreck coming back. Perhaps the Red Arrow hasn't quite reached its final stop. Please put that back in the 90s or back in the 80s, the people driving down the road past the Red Arrow train track in the middle of the night. Please put that in there. Please put that in there. Please show it. Please show it. Please show the part where they were driving down the road and past the Red Arrow train track in the middle of the night. Okay, please show that. Please show that, and please put that. Please put that too. Okay, all right. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope you guys enjoyed this story. Now I'm gonna show you guys. An example from the previous TV show, Haunted Travels, and it will give you an example of how Ghost Train should look like on the Travel Channel when you guys put it on there. Okay. It's gonna give you an example, and it's gonna give you an idea of how Ghost Train should look like on the Travel Channel when you guys put it on there. Okay. All right. So God, there's a gnat flying. I'm gonna show you guys an example from Haunted Hotels, and you will see of how Ghost Train should look like on the Travel Channel when you guys put it on there. Okay, when the Travel Channel company and when you guys put it on there, okay? So without further ado, here's Haunted Travels.
Cloudcroft, New Mexico is the kind of small town that immediately conjures up images of a time when the West was a bit more wild. But today, about 700 people live in Cloudcroft, where the pace is relaxed and locals greet you with a smile instead of a six-shooter.
People look out for one another, the businesses support each other, and it's just a great little community. It's a wonderful place to raise children and to vacation and relax. Relaxing is the big thing in Cloudcroft.
But it seems Cloudcroft's rough and tumble past still lingers. And there's one place in town where the past meets the present just about every night.
Welcome to the Lodge Resort and Spa in Cloudcroft, New Mexico. The Lodge is a full-service resort. A lot of people just come up here to rest and relax. We have an outdoor heated swimming pool, we have a sauna, we have an exercise room, we have a day spa that we offer massages and treatments and pedicures, manicures, things of that sort.
The Lodge also boasts an 18-hole golf course and a fine dining establishment.
Rebecca's is our fine dining restaurant, and most of our guests at Lodge here, as well as people in the local area, about 2-hour drive market, they'll drive up just to have dinner at Rebecca's.
The restaurant gets its name from a longtime resident of the Lodge, who, on special occasions, has been known to make appearances out of thin air.
I had sweaty palms, my heart was just racing, and I know that when I went to see the staff downstairs, I just had this frightened look on my face.
I froze and my knees went weak, my legs went to jello, and I couldn't move and I couldn't speak, and the tips of my fingers were just shaking.
I knew it was Rebecca. I felt her presence in this area, and I knew it was her immediately.
The legend of Rebecca dates back to 1911, when the Lodge at Cloudcroft was built.
Okay, so the story's going back in time. You see that? You see that? So this is how Ghost Train should look like.
But the hotel's claim to fame was its housekeepers.
Rebecca was a housekeeper here at the Lodge, and she took care of the rooms and the common areas, but she took care of a little more than that. She was what you might call a full-service housekeeper.
You see how the story's going back in time? Well, this is how Ghost Train should look like.
Locals and visitors in the
Yes.
Rebecca's promiscuous ways made her very popular among guests at the Lodge. But Rebecca's extracurricular activities didn't go over so well with her lumberjack boyfriend.
She really loved men, and she had a lumberjack boyfriend, and he worked out of town a lot. He wasn't here very often, and she entertained our guests, I could say. And one night, her boyfriend came back early from a logging trip.
He asked where she was, and when he found out, he flew into a fit of jealous rage. Legend says he cut off Rebecca's head and chopped up the rest of her body, burying the remains somewhere on the property of the Lodge, and leaving behind a feisty red-headed spirit with no plans on leaving her favorite haunt.
Now here's the apparition. Here's the ghost appearing on the screen.
And doing a quick count on tables and chairs. And maybe 25 seconds in the room, I stepped out of the room, and all 3 chandeliers on the mezzanine overlooking the lobby were swinging back and forth.
Making believers out of hotel staff and guests.
Now here's the apparition part. Here's the apparition part. And here's the ghost and the apparitions appearing on the screen here. Here we go. Here we go.
And we came over here to the coffee machine. We started brewing coffee. We went over here to the computer, and I was training her on the computer. And she asked me about the ghost. I was a skeptic back then, and I shared that with her, and I said, but it's part of your job to know this. It's a bunch of bull, but you really need to share the story. At that time, now this is 15 feet away from the computer to the coffee maker. The basket with the grounds of coffee came flying at me all the way over here, hit me in the leg, hot water and hot coffee grounds exploded all over me.
Before the 2 women could even speak, the doors to the room flew open, and a great rush of energy swarmed into the room, paralyzing them both with fear.
Needless to say, that girl never came back the next day. I braved it out and came back, but it was quite terrifying.
Rebecca had made her point, and once again had made believers out of the doubtful.
So you see, so you see that is what Ghost Train has to do. That's what Ghost Train has to do. Okay, and that is what hang on, let me find it again. Let me find it. Okay. So that's what the episode of Eerie Echoes and the Red and the Return of the Red Arrow has to do. Okay, all right. That is what has to happen in the TV show of Ghost Train when it gets filmed on the Travel Channel, and when it becomes a documentary, and when it becomes episodes also. That is what Eerie Echoes, the Return of the Red Arrow has to look like, okay, all right, and also that is what a Ghost Train has to look like too, okay. So yeah, you saw the spirits appearing on the screen with the ghosts and stuff like that. You saw the story going back in time. You know what to do now. Okay. So when you film when you guys film Ghost Train on the Travel Channel, when you guys film Ghost Train on the Travel Channel, put the Return of the Red Arrow episode on Ghost Train and on the Travel Channel, and make it an episode and make it a documentary also, okay, all right, with seasons, episodes, season episodes and stuff like that, okay, all right. So I hope you guys enjoyed this story. This will be on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube. Give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and ring the bell. And I will see you guys later for my next Ghost Train video, okay? In a few minutes. Bye, everybody. Bye.